say it was quite an interesting scene. I mean, people were talking about, I am this, allow me talk. Were you also of the school of thought that the minority were trying to announce their presence?
It's interesting. It's interesting what happened yesterday. Yesterday in the evening on State of Affairs, I spoke to Dr. Adam Bona. We're talking about a few, security issues here in the country. But to break the ice, I asked him what his thoughts were on the appointments committee and the vetting of the nominees yesterday. And, well, he went straight to the conduct of Alexander Kwame Afenyo-Marke, the minority leader, and he thought that the minority leader was a bit disruptive and overly emotional.
Was he not being the minority leader? I mean, the minority has always been, countering. That's what over the years we've seen in Parliament. So he was being the minority leader. Remember, Atofo, Dr. Kesel Atofo said, I'm your senior, learn from me and be good. So he was being the minority leader.
It's interesting, but I felt, at a point in time, some of the things that happened were, were not really
quite
necessary.
unnecessary.
Were not really necessary.
I agree. And then in the walkout,
belaboring, points and, trying to show. But I mean, at the end of the day, the minority leader has to do his job, obviously, because the NDC has an overwhelming majority in Parliament does not mean that the minority should be relegated to the background, right? Quite a number of members of the minority are on the appointments committee and they have to do their job. They have to ask the critical questions because Ghanaians are watching and Ghanaians would want to satisfy themselves through the people's representatives that the individuals that John Mahama has appointed to the Energy Ministry, to the Finance Ministry, as Attorney General and Ministry of Justice, that these individuals are competent enough to do the jobs that they are being assigned to do. That is why it is televised, right? Because these members of Parliament are representatives, right? They are our mouthpiece in the lawmaking chamber. That is why you voted for them. And so on our behalf, they have to make sure that the people that the president is appointing are going to appointees to go and sit down and, be treated with kids' gloves, appointees to go and sit down and, be treated with kids' gloves and all of that. I mean, there were many points during the vetting yesterday that some MPs decided that they were not going to. There were many points during the vetting yesterday that some MPs decided that they were not going to ask questions and they were just full of praises for the nominees. It gets to their head. They say, Mr. Nominee, I believe that you are very competent for the job. I've seen you work and all of that, and I wish you all the best. And they don't even ask any questions. But those who had questions to ask it, I think it was very important and very critical so that we really understand the mindset of the individuals who are going to the various ministries and what their plans are. Yesterday, Kesel Atofo made quite a number of comments which are noteworthy that we will have to note down and hold him to when he becomes, finance minister, talking about reducing inflation, for example. He talked about bringing inflation down to single digits. Right now, I mean, inflation is high. Right, it's very, very high. And he says he wants to be the finance minister. Who wants to bring inflation down to single digits. So we can hold him to it. When he becomes finance minister, we say, Dr. Atofo, during your vetting, you said you were going to bring inflation down to about what figure did he give to it? About 9% or
I'll have to recheck it.
Or 8%, right? So when he gets there, 2 years, COVID levy, betting tax, all of those.
How do you make up for the revenue?
Exactly, and that question is a very critical one, which was put before him yesterday, and he talks about, why didn't the tax net and enforcing
we have always talked about
tax compliance, right? So,
you're sure?
Oh, I'm very sure. When he becomes the finance minister, the minority really can't do anything to stop this, right? So you become the finance minister eventually. So when he becomes the finance minister, we asked him, during your vetting, you said you were going to do A, B, C, D with regard to removing the taxes and raising revenue, right? So we don't expect to be burdened anymore because you talked about other ways of raising the revenue.
Not necessarily.
How are you doing
taxes?
that regard?
That's what he said.
So I think it was critical. It was very critical. Some of the questions that were being put to him, and so I mean, the minority will always try to do their work, and that is where the minority's work becomes important, because while some of the members of the majority side who are on the appointments committee would want to treat the appointees with kids' gloves because they are from their side, those on the other side are the ones who would actually want to push, probe, and ask critical questions to really judge the competence of the people
the
who
person
are
who is going to occupy
the
that
various
position.
ministries.
Yeah. So yesterday was quite interesting, and then I also noticed the new ones, the new entrants in Parliament, and the various out of order moments they had, and I know they had expression into Parliament where they had moments where they taught them the rudiments of Parliament and what they are supposed to do.
They had an orientation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they took them through what the Appointments Committee is, what is expected of them, what questions they are supposed to ask and what not to ask. Because a number of them, even though they were critical questions, they were way out of order. And the chairman of the committee prompted them. And so it was insightful to know that. But what do you think, you out there? What are your thoughts about the nominees that appeared before the vetting committee yesterday? Dr. Kesia Latufosin, John Abdullahi Jinapo, and Dr. Dominic Akweretenga Ayene. Let us know. The numbers are on your screen. Call us. Let's hear from you. And I love the posturing of all of them yesterday, especially Dr. Ayene. Dr. Ayene practically appeared very, very relaxed yesterday.
Yeah, it was pretty relaxed. But his vetting took really long, you know,
yes.
at the tail end of his vetting.
Late into the night, and then at some point, the majority felt that the minority was going overboard.
Leader was just going overboard, you know, according to them, you know. How many questions do you have? You know, I mean, Afinyumaki will just sit down and be unbothered. What he wants to do is what he wants to do.
But
and people were making
if he had questions, he needed to ask.
Yeah, but people were making reference to Joseph Osei-Owusu during, you know, his tenure, right?
As chair.
He was pretty calm, and some people have
his
heard.
Nature.
No, some people have heard saying that he was pretty calm because there wasn't too much heckling and, you know, too much interjections and all of these things from the minority side at the time, right? But this time around, this first fresh appointments committee, we have the minority leader who is supposed to be also a co-chair, you know.
He's a ranking.
I mean, ranking member, I beg your pardon, you know. But I mean,
at some point, he appeared as a co-chair.
A co-chair, you know.
And
trying to show that, look, we know what we are about, and you know, we are going to ask the questions and all of that. But I think at a point in time it was a bit too much, if you ask me, from the minority. There's a caller on the line, Lily.
Okay. Hi there, caller. Good morning to you. I trust you're doing well. If we haven't spoken this year, Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Talk to us.
Please, my name is Abdul Hanan, calling from Tamale.
Okay. We also have an Abdul Hanan here, but talk to us, Hanan.
Yeah. I'm just going to touch on about the vetting yesterday. Though we all know that minority have to ask questions or to criticize something, but if you look at minority leader Apenyomaki, yesterday I walked through the tradition. If you look at his behavior, he's even behaving as if like he's having power more than even His Excellency President Mohammed. Like he don't want to comport himself so that they will work together. He's just ready to
decorum.
But he doesn't have such power. He's even behaving like he's in boxing ring. He should behave well. Please, he should behave well. We didn't say he shouldn't ask questions. He have the right to ask questions. He have the right to ask questions, but what he was behaving yesterday, I don't think that, like, he knows. We should look at the past majority leader, Otemen Chabosi. If you look at him and copy his work, but as for him, the way he's even doing, it's like Parliament is like, how am I going to describe it? Like a forest. It teaches me to say this. Like
language.
That you just
Hanan, with the greatest of respect. Language. I will not allow you go further. Please.
Okay, I'm sorry for that. I've withdrawn that.
Thank you.
But my greetings to my brother, the youngest MP, Suleiman Al-Hassan, new MP.
Okay, thank you very much, Anan, for your call. We do appreciate, but please, when you call, please keep it simple and then mind your language. I don't know if we have another call online.
Yes, we have another call on the line. Hello and good morning to you.
Hello, good morning. I'm Kingsley.
Kingsley.
Yes, please.
All right, Kingsley. Great to have you. Talk to us, Kingsley.
Yesterday I had the privilege to follow whatever was going on. And I think the minority leader, he has to take his time. You see, the thing is Ghanaians that have given, they just have to relax. If the NDC, they are not able to perform as we Ghanaians, we expect from them, we have the power to. The power belongs to us, we Ghanaians. So the minority leaders will relax. Looking at what he was doing, it was totally unacceptable. So what I just have to say is, he should take his time. He shouldn't do like what he's doing is like we Ghanaians, we don't know what we are up to. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call to us here on the show today.
Hello.
We have another caller. Hi there, caller. Good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from, and what's on your mind?
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, sir.
Is Pimo. I'm calling you from Bonu East region.
Okay, Imo, talk to us.
Peyaji to be precise.
Okay, talk to us, sir.
Yeah, yesterday I have opportunity to watch the proceedings. Then I want to say this thing about Afenyo Mark and the minority leader. Sorry to borrow this word. His arrogance is too much. You see, I think the MPP should have learned some lessons out of this just ended election. But this arrogance, when we were talking, when they were in power, it is still existing in them. They haven't learned any lesson. So, yesterday he was quoting the constitution of Ghana based on the oral thing that was said, that it was unconstitutional. Ayarika quoted the constitution, that article 41F, and they read it. Yesterday, Afenyo Martin nearly insulted the majority. If you watch his demeanor very closely, you could see that he wanted to say something, then something pushed him back, and he said it's okay. So this arrogance, we don't use that as a leader.
Okay.
So that's my submission I want to make. He's too arrogant. And look at the time he spent. Assuming that everybody is to spend the time he spent, I don't think that they could use 2 days to even finish.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shakola, from the Bono East region.
Okay, we have another call. I think we'll have time to pick 2 more calls, and then we'll bring you quotes today with Mutala Inusa. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Lantam.
Yes, sir.
Good morning to you all.
Thank you very much for calling us, sir. What's your name?
I am Lemuerte Asem, calling from Adan East.
Okay, good to have you.
Honorable Kujuganza constituency.
Okay, all right. Great to have you. Tell us what's on your mind.
I'm very great. I have this opportunity today to have a discussion with you.
Right. Right, carry on. We can hear you. Wow. We seem to have lost in the other line, but we have another caller. All right, good morning. Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from, and let's hear what's on your mind.
I'm calling from Canada. My name is Farouk.
All right, Farouk, talk to us.
Yes. Looking at what happened last night, yesterday, I was totally disappointed. One, Afenyo Martin must be called to book. He was too arrogant. too known, thinking that the entire knowledge of the world is on his head. That will not send him anywhere. He will continue if he continue like that, he will be in opposition for long. That is not the kind of opposition we want him to portray for MPP. I'm a member of MPP. But I was highly disappointed in him. And then the majority leader, the chairman was too down. I think he doesn't know what he wants to do. And he allowed himself for a senior mighty to be controlling him like his students. That is not how we conduct, meeting. He should learn from the past chairman of MPP, how the chairman was conducting it. He should be a man of himself. Stand on his feet. Actually, it was boring.
Okay.
Boring.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for your call to us here on the show. All right. I think we'll go to our last caller now, lady.
Okay. Hi there, caller. Good morning to you. I trust you're doing well. Your name and where you're calling us from? I'm not sure I got your name, but I understand you're calling from Tamale. Is that what I heard?
Yes. My name is Alas.
Okay, talk to us. What's on your mind this morning?
I had the opportunity to watch the session yesterday, and I must also say that the behavior of Honorable Alexander Fiumakin wasn't acceptable. Sometimes he was asking questions as if like he was having personal grudges with the nominees. So that's what I have to suggest. So if maybe the media can do something to let his office know that like sometimes he needs to tone down the language he's using on the nominees. Thank you.
Okay, I'm sure this medium goes to the length and breadth of this country, so his office will hear and take note accordingly. Thank you very much, caller, for calling us. That should do for Inside Out.
Yeah, Mutala Inusa is here.
Captain is here.
Yes, I'm here again to meet the due. Yesterday we enjoyed the appointment committee's actions and all that.
You're out of order.
I know, right?
I think
he's not out of order.
I'm not out of order. So on what basis? I've only mentioned
Don't be out
appointment
of
committee.
order.
I will not be out
Be
of
calming
order.
down.
We're just monitoring the nominees, and each of them. You know, when you find yourself there, in a moment that sometimes people dig you up. Okay, they dig you. So yesterday, for instance, I was listening to the Deputy Attorney General and Justice Minister nominee, Doctor.
The Attorney General.
Attorney General and
himself.
Justice Minister nominee. Not deputy.
Did I say deputy?
You said
Yes.
deputy.
Oh, sorry.
He's former deputy.
Yes.
8 years ago.
Yes. So he was making the point. There was a point that his firm was used to advise a company and all that. So a question was put to him. I said, "Oh, yes, it was my company." But at the time that the company was used, the name of the company, the chamber was being used to advise that company against the state. At that time, I had no role to play. Very interesting moment. Yeah. So those moments when you find yourself, the Lantam, where you were born, we'll get to know. Lily, where you grew up, we'll get to know all those things. So very interesting.
Oh, Lily is the incoming minister for
gender. Is it gender?
No.
Oh, youth.
Gender,
Yes.
Lantam, don't set me up. Ghana for no.
Youth and is it empowerment or what?
Lantam, it's okay.
So yesterday I met somebody in town. I said, okay, now Mama is giving appointment, right? So everybody should position herself.
Really?
Maybe appointment, they can ask you to bring your CV right now. So you never know.
I've personally taken her CV. I'm taking it.
My Lord, you're out of order.
I'm in order. Captain.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's coming up?
Yes, so a lot has been happening. Yes, the appointment committee, of course, the vetting has started. And for us in court today, our focus is on the Attorney General nominee, Dr. Ayine. And yesterday, he's been asked a lot, or he was asked a lot of questions. And one of them that we want to touch on is in relation to public tribunal. And there are a lot of people who have made issues about this. Remember the Judgment Debt Commission, you know, the kind of work that they did. First, compensation paid to people who were owned judgment debt that the state, all those who were brought before the commission. It was open. Live cameras were there, witnesses come, lawyers come, who played roles come in, testify. And then it opened eye on a lot of things, how some of the rot even come about, how the states renege on certain fulfillment, and then as a result the state had to pay huge compensation, judgment debt and all that. He thinks that re-establishment of some of these public tribunal will help, and I think that he's been very vocal on that particular point. Let's hear Dr. Ayine in respect of that particular matter. So bringing you that a bit, but of course yesterday we've been talking to you about the one case that also came up in court. It's in relation to the Cocoa Board matter. Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni, Seydou Agongo, and of course Agricourt Ghana Limited. They are in court. And yesterday I was telling you about the fact that they are appearing in court for the first time under this NDC administration. New king, new law. But of course, the trial yesterday continued. The 9th defense witness for Seydou Agongo, already state prosecutors called 7 witnesses. They are done with their case. Dr. Stephen Kwabena Opuni called 10 witnesses. He's done with his defense. Then Seydou Agongo is the second and third, and Agricourt, second and third are calling witnesses. And yesterday, one Dr. Samuel Akuto Banfo. That name sounds familiar, right? Akuto Banfo. Yes. He's a scientist at nuclear energy. And he came to court to testify. And guess what he has been saying? There were 2 reports or results that were given to him by the accused persons to also examine the kind of terminologies that were used to arrive at the conclusion that little liquid fertilizer was bad. And he has been giving some interesting discoveries to the court. The 2 results that he analyzed, one that was authored by one court, Papanko, which was being relied on by prosecution to say that the sample that they tested was worthless. Farmers could even drink it as water. He said that, look, the terminology that was used to test that particular sample was unacceptable. It has no scientific basis. And so when you use that terminology to say that, to come to that conclusion, it won't hold. So that resource or that report that was generated to say that the fertilizer has no potency, it was unacceptable, and the conclusion itself was contradictory because of how they went about. So that cannot be relied on as a concrete tool to prosecute the accused person. However, there was another sample that a report that he analyzed, which has to do with a report coming from the material science lab. And he said that, look, that particular report considered all the elements, and that actually proved reliable. And that was the document being relied on by the defense to make their case. So he is saying that the report the prosecution is relying on to prosecute Dr. Stephen Kwabena and Seidu Agongo and Agricourt are unacceptable and not reliable. But that the prosecution, the defense is using by way of the material science lab reports, that one is the acceptable one. So yesterday, before Justice Abuaje Tando, Justice of the Court of Appeal, who was sitting as with additional responsibility as a High Court judge, adjourned the matter to 31st of January, and 21st of January, and 21st, lawyers of Dr. Stephen Kwabena would subject him to cross-examination, and Samuel Kojo is the lawyer for Dr. Opuni. And after that, prosecution would subject him to cross-examination. So yesterday, that case came in, and then the 9th defense witness for Seidu Agongo is in court to testify. And he has concluded his evidence in chief, and the conclusion was that prosecution's test results, which they are using as the tool or the basis to prosecute the accused persons, have no scientific grounds. So that's one.
James Kwesing in court yesterday?
James Kwesing, member of Parliament for Asenov, right? He was in court yesterday with his lawyers, led by lawyer Chachu Chikata,
the venerable
Chachu Chikata. The man, when you also see him with the gray hair, or is this one is white? Yeah. Yes, Chachu was in court before Justice Mary Mami Ekwe-Yenzo, and guess what? The investigator who investigated this whole matter in relation to James Kwesing's incident, which led to all of this. In fact, his outcomes, his findings led to the state charging James Kwesing for, in fact, 5 criminal charges, including perjury and a forgery of document, which he pleaded not guilty. Yesterday, Mr. Chachu Chikata concluded his cross-examination of the investigator, and the matter has been adjourned to the 3rd of February. And on the 3rd of February, or they will end their case here, for which reason the court will then have to determine whether there's a prima facie evidence for which reasons James Kwesing and his lawyers or the accused person should be called upon to open his defense. So that is the stage in which we are. So yesterday, that case came on. Mr. Chikata concluded the cross-examination of the investigator, who is the 4th prosecution witness in that particular matter, which James Kwesing is standing trial.
And then the disputed seats case.
So a lot of people have asked me what have happened to that case.
What's happening? What's happening with
yesterday?
People are interested in knowing.
So one thing that was missing is the atmosphere, the euphoria, the numbers that we have we used to know. That when this case is coming out, even before the swearing, there were a lot of people come to the court, as you can see on your screen. Yesterday, it was Fala. You come to the courtroom. It was empty. Very empty.
People have lost interest
the media guys who were in court are more than the number of people who were in court. So yesterday, lawyers of the NDC, the key actors that we do know were not up. Gideon Abuchi represented the NDC, which are the applicants in the matter. And of course, Justin Amenuvo, the lawyer for the Electoral Commission, was present in court, but conspicuously missing is the lawyer for the MPP side, Gary Nimaku. And the indication from the judge is that there is evidence of non-service. They have not been able to serve, they haven't served them with the applications as far. So the court hands are tied. And the NDC themselves asked that the case be adjourned indefinitely. So yesterday, that case came on, the stay of execution, but of course, the matter has been adjourned sine die. I got to the court. That's the language that which effectively means that indefinitely. Yeah, we don't know. There's no date. There's no time until such time that we'll have it listed again. For now, that case.
Interesting.
Yes.
Millennium City murder trial.
Yes. Abebio, Ben Lord Abebio, The man, they say, is a self-styled chief somewhere, Kasua, Millennium City. We know in April last year what happened. He is alleged to have shot a soldier who over a land issue, and then the man died. Now he's facing charges. He, together with one other, are facing 2-count conspiracy and murder. He was expected to supervise the empanelment of jury or jury selection. And in relation to jury selection, it is the accused person who selects who should try them. It is not the court that decide for them. They will bring a lot of people to the court, potential jurors to the court, and then their names are put in the box. They lift it, so if they mention Lantam, Papanko, you just step up. If the accused person look at you and say, no, you are neatly dressed. People who are neatly dressed, they are difficult people to deal with. They say, no, I don't want Lantam. Go. Lily, you step forward, they look at you and say, Lily is a beautiful lady. She have a concern. I have a crush for Lily, so Lily can
So you can go.
until he gets the 7 people, then that ends the process. But of course, in the process of selecting the jury or the jurors, I might say, you have the opportunity to reject 3 without assigning any explanation. But the fourth one, the fourth one, you have to provide explanation. Maybe the person is my next door neighbor. He fought with me the last time, so I don't think that when he sit on my case, and then that one the court will reason. But if you don't have any justice,
is my landlord. I'm owing him rent.
And then this person will deal with me, and then that one the court will agree. But if the person says, oh, he's too tall or she's too beautiful, and I don't think that. I remember sometime when Sexy Dondon was making his jury, selecting his jurors. He said she doesn't like
Gucci youngster.
But that is the case of the case of the prosecution. Now the case is civil. The case of the prosecution is that he's called Sexy Dondon. Exactly. And he is saying that Gucci youngster. So now we have 2 names to work with. Sexy Dondon / Gucci youngster. There were moments that when he selects a woman, he will reject them. Then the last one, when they ask him of the explanation, is that the case is too emotional. And so he doesn't think that women can... they can't hold that emotion, so he's just rejecting them. Yes,
seriously.
Yes,
and
but eventually, one of the reasons the court just think that no, it doesn't make any sense. So they allow the lady to sit on the panel. So that's one of the things, or some of the things that happen when it comes to jury selection. So that case, there weren't enough prospective jurors in court, so it has to be adjourned. And so it was
coming up today, Mike Nuniku. Yesterday he was in court, right?
Yes, yesterday he was in court.
Coming back to court today.
The case that started with 61 witnesses, it dropped to 49, and it looked like it is dropping again. So yesterday we had a 25th witness.
Wow.
Yes.
But that's still quite a significant
number.
In fact, all the
25 witnesses.
In fact, I have not seen any case that I have covered in court that I have seen that number of witnesses. But the indication is that there are 16 more to come. Yeah, 16 more. 25 more. Down, 16 more. So when you add 16 to 25 will be what? So that's 30, 40. That's 41.
Oh, 41.
Yeah, 41. Sorry. So from 61, it looked like it will be down to 41. So yesterday, before Justice Efiasewa Saributri, a justice of the Court of Appeal sitting with additional responsibility as a High Court judge, heard the witness, and they said that today, the lawyer of the accused person indicated that with an hour or more, they will be able to conclude on their evidence in chief. Then prosecution will take over cross-examination, which Hilda Craig, who is the senior principal state attorney, Amase, indicated that it won't take them more than an hour to subject the witness to cross-examination. And they made the indication that tomorrow the case will come on again, and they will be calling 3 witnesses at a go. So it looks like I'm making some progress here. So this is some of the cases this is one of the cases that we should keep an eye on in relation to this. So these are some of the things that we should be looking at for home court today.
All right. Thank you very much.
Captain.
Thank you to the deal. Enjoy your day. Yes. Lantam, Papanko. Manchester United favorites.
Yes.
I saw yesterday.
At this point, you're out of order. Thank you.
Am I out of order, Lantam?
You're out of order.
Yes.
I take it.
We'll catch you on the flip side. So that's we've got today. We take a look at what the newspapers are reporting this morning on today's papers. We begin with the Daily Dispatch. NDC MPs have already begun power struggle for the 2028 flag bearer slot. That's according to Minority Leader Papanko Marking.
Oh, is that true?
Ghana's 2025 Parliament is at 274 seats. NDC 181, NPP 89, Independent 4. Okay. Interesting. Lantam?
All right. We're zooming straight into the sports chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And GHOne Saji is here.
Yeah.
Jules, I like your shirt.
Thank you.
I want some.
Yeah. So Lena Katz in Adenta.
Okay.
She did it for me. She took money though, but I'm sure that the next one, she will do it for us for free.
Yeah,
Lena
okay.
Katz. Yeah, big shout out to her.
Lena, please be kind to my boys. But what's up for Charles?
I mean, the big news is Tyson Fury says he's retired, and it's the second time. In 2022, he came out saying that he's retired.
The Gypsy King.
Yeah.
He said he's retired.
Yes. And, he added a quote to it. We'll get to look at that. But let's start off from GFA. They are in the news this morning. First of all, they've appointed Kasim Mengo as head coach of the Black Meteors under 23. So he's going to take charge of the Black Meteors team. And we wish him all the best. Let's see what he can bring in. He's actually the coach of Nations FC. And the good thing about this appointment is that you can actually still coach your club side and still coach the country's appointment. So he's going to be coaching Nations FC and then what's the name? The Black Meteor. So we wish him all the best there. And let's move to Stephen Tornado Appiah. He has been approached by the GFA to join the management committee. Lantam, if you are Appiah, would you accept Ket's approach?
If I was Stephen Appiah.
Yeah.
to join the Black Stars management committee.
Exactly.
Stephen Appiah has been around the team in a capacity like that before, has he not?
I mean, he has been, but then he didn't attend meetings because he says the process. He didn't feel the process.
The process left much to be desired.
Exactly.
Well, I will look at the GFA.
Yeah.
I'll look at the structures in place. And then I would examine it critically to see if they are doing things right, or if I'm just going to be in there and it's going to be business as usual. If I examine it critically, I ask certain questions and I realize that it's going to be business as usual the way the GFA have been. It's behaving all over the place. I will not join. I will not
Black Stars said,
but if
what
I
is he
see,
going to do on that?
but if I see a real change, and I see that okay, the GFA wants to turn over a new leaf and do things properly, you know, for the betterment of the team, then I will consider joining. So, I mean, if I were Stephen Appiah, that is what I would do.
Well, let's see. They want to qualify for the World Cup. That's why the team is being reconstructed, and it will take some time. You also understand that Dr. Andy
Randy,
yes, has been approached as well, and then Dr. Century of Summertex, he owns Summertex, is also being approached as well. Let's see how that goes. Let's talk Tyson Fury, because he says, guys, enough is enough. You know, in December, he was beaten. Usyk beat him, and then he came out to say that he felt that he actually won that fight. Let's get to watch the announcement video from Tyson Fury.
Hi everybody, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. Get up!
Get up, get up. Now, what's actually trending is the last part. He says Dick Turpin wore a mask. And Dick Turpin is actually a thief in the 18th century in England. And I mean, to say that a thief wore a mask is showing that he felt that he was cheated.
Robbed.
Yes, he was robbed in the last bout. So, I mean, and it's making a lot of noise in the Tyson Fury. Well, let's hope that he, in March, was supposed to have a fight with Anthony Joshua, and it means that match might not come off. But then, you never know.
You should do that match for the last.
That should be his retirement.
You never know.
You should do.
For him, he can change his mind at any time. And Djokovic and Andy Murray for the first, I mean, the last week we brought you guys their training. For the first time, they had their match together, and Djokovic won that game. And it was great seeing his rival in there, giving him advice.
Coaching him.
It was great.
Someone that I used to play fiercely against.
It was great. It was great in there, yes. And then he won his first game.
Novak Djokovic.
In there. Let's finally end with EPL action tonight, and Lantam, biggest game because it is a top of the table clash. I mean, Liverpool taking on Nottingham Forest. Don't forget, the first leg actually ended in favor of Forest. They went to Anfield and beat Liverpool by 1-0. Goal from Ghanaian English Hudson-Odoi. And today we're going to see that game happen at the City Ground. And you know, if Liverpool, I don't know if we can get a table. Let's see how the table looks like for the English Premier League. Liverpool are on top, 46 points, and then Nottingham Forest do have 40 points. There you have the table. So Liverpool 46, and then Nottingham Forest 40. So if Nottingham Forest, who are home tonight,
if they win,
they
get 43.
They get 43.
And it's just 3 points difference.
Yes.
I'm rooting for Nottingham Forest.
Against.
This is not against. I'm just rooting for Nottingham Forest.
Right.
So anytime I hear Nottingham Forest, I remember Junior Agogo. You know.
So I mean, that's that for sports today. We wish all the teams, and the other games as well. We'll see Manchester City take on Brentford, and then we'll also see Chelsea take on Antoine Semenyo's Bournemouth there. So they have fixtures for.
I'm rooting for Bournemouth
tonight.
Yes.
And then Kudus, new coach.
Day.
New coach.
So I'm rooting for Brentford, Bournemouth, and West Ham,
and Nottingham Forest.
And Nottingham Forest. Yes.
All right. Thank you. That's all for the sports chat this morning.
All right, Jones. Thank you very much for the updates in the sports world. Kankasi Sports Chat. That will do for this morning. We take a quick break. When we return, we have our breakfast review. Mr. Jantua is in the house. We haven't seen him in a while, and we do miss him.
I'm very excited to see him.
Yes, I missed him. Yeah. He abandoned us for Brunya.
You're welcome back to the show. This is GH Today here on GHOne Television. It's time for the Breakfast Review segment. And on the Breakfast Review today, we're talking about quite a number of things. The Appointments Committee sat yesterday. They vetted 3 nominees of the President to the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Energy, the Ministry of Justice, and Attorney General. And the Finance Minister designate, for example, talked about scrapping e-levy, betting tax, among others, reducing inflation to single digits, making sure that the exchange rate is stable, working hand in hand with the Bank of Ghana. Among other things, quite a lot was said. In the energy sector, John Jinaport talked about privatization of ECG, merging of VRA and the Bui Power Authority, talked about efficiency within the energy sector. The energy sector debt and how it's going to be cleared, and all of that. And the Attorney General, also Attorney General designate or nominee also, had his turn. And it was quite interesting, the questions that were put to the Attorney General and also the answers that were given by him and, of course, his other cohorts who also appeared before the Appointments Committee. So we want to put all of this in perspective and talk about it this morning here on the show. Also, free SHS has been on the lips of many since this new administration took over, particularly because of an issue of shelter in place to ensure that food is sent to schools, among other things. And the government directed for foodstuffs meant for the drought victims to be distributed to the various senior high schools that have a shortage of food. So people are already beginning to talk about some of the seeming problems that the free senior high school policy had and what we should do to deal with these problems. And so we'll talk about all of these issues here on the show this morning on the Breakfast Review. My guests are here in the studio, and I'll be introducing my guests in the studio this morning. But yesterday on State of Affairs, I had a conversation with Dr. Adam Bona. He's a security analyst. And to break the ice, the first question I asked him was about his impressions about the Appointments Committee sitting yesterday. And he had some very, very interesting comments, especially about the minority leader and his conduct. Listen.
I think the honorable minority leader is a bit erratic. He's a leader of the largest opposition party in the country, and as a leader, I am expecting him to show decorous. He's supposed to be calm, and it is difficult to chair any meeting at all. But maybe it becomes even more difficult when you are chairing a televised, a meeting or a process that is being televised. It means that as a chairman, you have to be at your best. And as probably members of that probably meeting, which is being televised, you have to be at your best. Probably done what I was expecting. I was expecting him to show a certain level of decorum, a certain level of class, but you could hear the chairman repeatedly ask him to sure members, if you open your phone lines, a lot of the comment that will come from the general public would be the same. I don't know whether he wants to show macho, he wants to let members of the
NPP not just trying to do his job, as minority leader?
No. The outgone appointment committee chairman,
Joseph Osei-Owusu. Yes.
Do you know the way he chaired those meetings?
Yeah.
He did that because he didn't have a lot of heckling, members of the committee pushing him around. I mean, I felt very sorry for the entire process. I mean, it was an eyesore, if you ask me, a complete eyesore, because then these are our leaders. We just elected them, and they are vetting those who are supposed to come in and lead the ministries that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has penciled down for them to lead and ensure that the economy that is in bad shape is probably is jump started. You saw that of the finance minister. A lot of questions that went to me. I thought, you know what? Ask him the bread and butter questions. Stop the politics. But most of the questions I think that the MPP members in Parliament, I don't know how this, I think they would have to speak to the minority leader to just, I mean, he would always, I'm sure they will give him the opportunity to. By the way, he did it. If you ask me, I will tell you that it was a complete eyesore. I think that if the Speaker of Parliament, the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament is watching us this evening, I think he should call some of these people to order. I mean, I don't know what you think, but for me, it was painful watching it. Maybe a bit better when you are listening than
maybe when you are there
watching, because you can see the speaker. Sorry, the
chairman of the committee.
Chairman asking the honourable minority leader, please stop. And no, he won't budge. And you don't know whether, like a child who wants something, and daddy is saying, hold on, it will be your turn, you would have it. Say, no, I must have it. I mean, you like that spoiled child mentality. I mean, that what were some of the questions that I remember and the answers? All I heard was chairman. That is all I can remember.
Was a bit disruptive for you.
Chairman. And he will say it 100 times. And the chairman will be telling him, chairman. No, Lantam.
It's interesting.
It's very, for me, I just think that this is not what we are paying our members of parliament to do. I have to be very honest. Very disgusting what happened. It wasn't good. For me, I was suspecting cool heads. The chairman is in the chair. Everybody must pay attention to the chairman. It is a show. Listen to him. If we disagree, let the others talk. You'll be given the opportunity to talk. And the way it happened is almost like, I don't know whether you've been in any debating class before. Debating, yeah, I mean,
certainly I have.
No.
When I was young,
I think honorable opinion marking, Buama also did well.
So that's Dr. Adam Bonat there on State of Affairs yesterday. My guests are here in the studio. Mr. Kwame Jantwa is here. He's a member of the Convention People's Party. He's a private legal practitioner as well. Mr. Jantwa, good morning to you.
Morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy New Year. I've seen you this year, haven't I?
Yeah, we've met once this year. Many happy returns.
Yes.
It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you.
How's the new year going?
Very well. You've got some mischievous look on your face. I don't know what that mischief is.
No mischief
You
here.
started though. We're only 40 days. You're only 40 days into the
no
new
mischief
year.
here. No mischief here. No
Only 2
mischief
weeks
at all.
into the
I'm just doing
January
my job.
is running, eh?
I'm just doing my job, Mr. Jantwa. It's good to see you in the studio.
Good to see you.
Also here in the studio is Kwesi Kwarteng. He's also a private legal practitioner. He's a member of the New Patriotic Party's communications team, and he used to speak for the Ministry of Education. Council, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, I mean,
And happy New Year.
Happy returns. I mean, I've been ushered into opposition just like that. Now, Mr. John Kodia,
Welcome to opposition.
Mr. Jantwa is also in opposition.
Oh,
but
I mean,
both of you are in opposition.
for them, practically they are not. I mean,
how are they not?
There are moments they are in shadow government. They will be micromanaging and enjoying. But currently, I'm in the proper opposition. He doesn't look like somebody in opposition. Even
really?
On the
How does somebody in opposition look like?
Even though on the face of the pink sheet, he's in opposition. He doesn't look like someone who is really in opposition. He's really glowing after serving from January. Yes.
What are you?
It's got nothing to do with service of January.
What are you insinuating?
No, at least, I mean, they are objective realities. When I see red, I'll be able to know this is red. This is black.
Yes.
This is blue black. I can distinguish between them.
Yes.
If I see a man glowing, I will know. And I mean, last year I had a conversation with him on.
I don't know about that. But let's get into
He's trying to insinuate.
Let's get into the issue, shall we? I mean, let's start with the appointments committee and the appointment.
You want to let us comment on?
Yesterday. I mean, Dr. Adam Bonner's comments was on the appointments committee yesterday, and he felt that the minority leader was a bit disruptive, at the appointments committee sitting yesterday. Do you agree with the sentiment, Dr. Adam Bonner's sentiment?
Well, I mean, even before I comment on, I'm just imagining myself for the first time now speaking for the opposition. And I have to.
You're not used to it.
I'm not used to it. I have to assume a different posture.
Yes.
But of course,
come for training.
You are not speaking for government.
I'm not speaking for government again. Now you have to be anyway. So I believe that, of course, in the dispensation of law and within the framework that we operate, I mean, freedom of speech. He has the right to make certain pronouncements as to how he feels and believes. Of course, he's entitled to say everything that he said. Just that it appears from the commentaries that
he offered those comments.
No, I am saying that.
We discussed security issues yesterday, but this was just, to be fair to him, just a preliminary comment that he was making, because I asked him a question about it. So,
the Honorable Atuforsen alone, I think his vetting took about a space of 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he followed the discussion and everything. And if after going through all the processes, the only thing you saw was Mr. Markin trying to do his job, and then attempt to question his credibility and his competence to the extent that your criticisms do not even become constructive again, but becomes very personal. That is why me. He should be proposing and giving recommendations about how.
I mean, he's been doing all that.
And
it all comes back to.
And what has been the impact?
It all comes back to the point I made earlier.
And what has been the impact?
I asked for an opinion from him, and he offered.
It's also my opinion. So let me also
it's not like he just got up and decided to comment on it.
I am saying that
I just want you to bear that in mind.
The principle is that it is not always the case that when you are asked of opinion of something, when you do not have, you just have to offer an opinion. There are moments you will ask me a question on subject A, subject B. If it is not my fault, it is only, proper that I waive that. That is a gentleman's approach to issues. Kwesi Kwate, are you able to explain how chemicals do work, ABC? I'll tell you, I'm not a chemical expert. I speak. I'm a lawyer. When it comes to legal matters, when it comes to PR matters, I'm able to engage. I'm sure that is
sentiments. Yesterday on social media, in other quarters, there were quite a number of people who felt that the minority leader was doing a bit too much. What do you make of those comments?
I am saying that those are very subjective opinions and views. Even to me, I have a different feeling about how the chairman handled issues. People also felt maybe he was too timid.
Yeah.
He wasn't lively.
Yeah.
People may have their own opinions about it. But it's about how we conduct our criticisms. It should be done in the high plane of dignity and respect to every individual, so that it doesn't seem as a personal attack. And Mr. Afenyo-Markin is not representing himself alone. He is representing a party. For that matter, the leading opposition party in Parliament. I nearly said the government. I nearly said the majority. I have to come for tutorials. I'm still learning.
You should know that you are in opposition now. So be minded.
Reality
don't be out of order. Don't be out of order.
That's fine. So, but to end, I am saying that I don't begrudge him for offering an opinion on this. But I'm saying that such an opinions should be constructive, should be fair, so that it doesn't appear as though it's a personal attack.
Right.
When you do that, at least people like us should also reserve the right to then put you to scrutiny. That as a security expert, what has even been your contribution and relevance so far as it comes to the whole security dispensation in this country? There is none.
Oh, well, he's offered a lot of...
And what has been the outcome?
Opinions.
Mention two. What has been the outcome? What has been the outcome? And what has been the outcome?
Opinions.
Mention two. What has been the outcome? What has been the outcome?
And a lot of security issues.
A security expert must learn.
And been doing work, behind
a security expert. A security expert must learn.
And been doing work, behind
a security expert,
which is, on many media platforms, still very relevant and called to comment on many security issues.
The fact that you are called, the fact that Ibad is still called to comment on security issues. So,
I don't know about that.
No, the point is that this.
Yesterday's vetting. Yes.
How?
The first thing, going through the lot, first thing I said was, Machaf, what was he trying to prove? There are two sides to it. His approach with regards to the chairman and his interjection, and the second bit is the questions he was asking. I must say, some of the questions he asked were relevant questions. Mm-hmm. Very relevant questions. Mm-hmm. But his approach, and for me, what it was that there are rules and regulations with regards to the vetting. He was sidestepping it and not giving the chairman the respect. And some were saying the chairman, there should have been somebody stronger. The chairman looked a bit weak. I he was doing his job. That's governed vetting. Let's stick to it and go according to it. But I must say, yes, Afenyo Makin was in their court to act as a minority leader and to ask the tough and hard questions, which to a large degree he did. And even his questions prolonged a lot of the vetting people. And if you realize something, out of the three, it was John Jinapo.
Yeah, who are the shortest?
That was shortest.
Yeah.
Why? Afenyo is not too au fait with the energy sector that much, and really didn't have much to rile about. And so I expected John Jinapo's to be much longer, but his was the shortest. You say, oh yes. Because if I'm on a committee with you and you're the chairman, I'm not even ranking. I'm there as a member there, and I keep interjecting you. What would you tell me? You say, Mr. Jantua, as much I respect you as my senior, however, let me run this thing. You tell me. Knowing you,
I don't think they were interjections.
No,
there were concerns that he raised.
Well, no.
And most of them were responded to by the chair.
It's not even concerns. If he needed to say something, he wouldn't wait for his turn. He would interject the chairman. The chairman. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, he said more than 20. Yes. They were clashing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good sight.
Were you expecting Afenyo to go and sleep on there?
No, I wasn't expecting him to go and sleep. I was expecting him to stick to the rules of the game. That's what I was expecting him to do. When they call you, you talk. When they don't call you, you wait for your turn. Simple. Remember, because I haven't said anything about his questioning. I said his questioning was necessary. Some of the questions he asked were good. However, his approach and his handling of the entire thing, I didn't think it went well. And let's hope that in the next ones, he will do better in terms of his approach and show respect to the chair. Simple. That's the way I see it.
But let's come to some of the people who were vetted one by one. There were three of them, right? The finance minister designate, insisted that they were going to scrap the e-levy. They would scrap the betting tax. He would reduce inflation. Make sure that he focuses on the microeconomy to also help.
And I feel that in terms of their delivery, it was on point. I believe that the critical questions were asked, they were also able to provide same. Of course, I did not have the luxury of time to watch through all out the entire vetting, but the few ones that I had opportunity to look at it, I felt that they were quite impressive because look at somebody like Dr. Jinapo, for instance. He's been there before.
Yeah.
This is not the first time he's going to Parliament. He's been through all out.
Yeah.
He's been with several committees. energy is not really new to him. I mean, like the new trending lawyer, my friend Edwoji. So, I mean, these are guys that we don't really expect. I think our expectation is that everything that they've said, of course, we understand.
Thing that he said that you would want to hold him to.
Well,
when he takes office.
I mean, well, like I indicated, you see, the finance minister cannot be separated from his party's manifesto. The party's manifesto was clear that there were, in terms of, for instance, some of the tax revenues that we introduced, particularly e-levy, they will scrap it. And of course, yesterday too, I understand he affirmed same.
E-levy, COVID levy,
and
betting tax,
and whatever. But of course, I am also of the view that I mean, it's just like right hand to take it, because at the end of the day, I mean, if you look at debt recovery and how we are able to sustain our economy, certainly it will not be. I'm not a finance person, but I don't think it will be very fiscal as a decision to necessarily scrap these taxes that brings in revenue, particularly if you look at how these revenues are undisrupted. For instance, if you look at e-levy, for instance, I mean, it's just through an electronic system. You don't need transaction. You're able to track it and get your money. If you look at betting tax, it's almost the same. Corporate tax, almost the same. So these are revenues that are coming directly. If your argument is that you are going to cancel it, particularly, I think the most important reference is that these are revenues that are tied to the IMF negotiations. So I believe that in as much as they want to, they are laying claim that they want to cancel it. Certainly, they may use the back door to reintroduce it in certain spheres. That's what I'm expecting. I'm holding them to the fact that if indeed they are cancelling or withdrawing it, then they should not use any back door, because we also have, even if it is one representation in Parliament, we will get to know if they attempt to smuggle it in any means.
In another form.
We the same. When we were in power, remember we cancelled in an attempt to appease Ghanaians.
A lot of nuisance taxes.
Yes.
As you
smiling.
No, Mr. Jantua is always smiling.
Mr. Jantua
is always smiling.
Mr. Jantua has been one of the senior citizens that we also learn from his faith. We used to call him Openi.
Yes.
Now, yes. Openi, yes.
Used to.
Yes.
I don't call him
Openi. He's not a young man.
Yes. Why?
Yes,
is it because the NDC
so
is in office?
No, he's been one of the senior citizens who has I've never said he's been one of us, but I know my words. So let me choose as well. One of senior citizens who had this country at heart, and I believe and hope that as a senior citizen who understand the concept of rebuilding this country, that has fought with his blood, with intelligence, with his mind, and where we are today, and building and resetting together. I hope and Mr. Openi will join President Mahama. And I know Mr. Kwati as one of the young guys. I was happy when you call him as a junior counsel. Coming up, he's a good friend. Coming up and then let us put this country together. And then it is important that our people, I can remember the life of Ayarik, Amina and Co, who lost their lives during the elections period. And some other people who has not even got access to quality healthcare, some of them who has looted this nation. Now that we all come together, about 57% of Ghanaians coming together to say, look, President Mahama handle this country for us.
And on that score, he has appointed Kesi Latofos as finance minister.
Absolutely,
right? You watched his vetting yesterday.
Absolutely.
Were you impressed?
I was there, not only.
Okay, you were there.
You know, my brother was vetted yesterday too as Minister of Energy.
Yes.
And so I was there myself, and then.
So let's talk about Latofos.
But before I will talk about Dr. Ato, let me quickly. Mr. Bonai is a security expert. You can observe from afar. He has an opinion. He's been one of the guys who has done well in our security system in this country. I recall when Mr. Kwati was a spokesperson, the then spokesperson for Minister of Education, he contributed massively in our educational sector.
He's patronizing.
Yes, and then so we believe and hope that he has made it's an opinion, and I think logically and sensibly, he's made a very decent. I personally yesterday I was in Parliament yesterday. By 10 I was in Parliament, and let us come together. I mean, the minority leader
What's the name?
He's a minority leader.
Minority leader.
Yes.
He should just micro minority.
No, he's
leader.
a minority leader.
When I said micro minority,
there is nothing like micro minority.
There was something called minority group and majority group. Are you aware?
Yes.
So that was assented by. We believe and hope that the micro minority
powers the minority.
The micro minority
powers the minority.
When we're in government,
as I choose to call. Yes, I choose to call the micro minority. Will just take time. I believe and hope. Papanko is one of the guys I admire a lot. He has the brain, but you see, the branding that he wants to use to make sure that it's happening, he should take his time.
Okay,
it's take his time.
Okay.
Ghana is working not in his name.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
It is the spirituality that is chasing him there is not there. But you ask, that's President Mahama. His nominees are super. His nominees are on top of their job. His nominees are nominees designated to a place that they've worked there before. And these ministers, yesterday, if you clearly listen to them, you can see the quantity and the quality of them. The overwhelming majority of the Ghanaians accepted Dr. Asofo-Asyani. Yesterday, if you listen to his calmness, his in-depth knowledge about economy, his in-depth knowledge about finance, is the way he goes around things, I believe and hope that resetting this country as this and leading us in charge of finance ministry, Ghana will be very, very super.
Okay.
And I hope and know and believe that my brother Adam, while he was then a spokesperson of
Anta
Minister
is his name too.
Yes, Minister. Adam Anta. Whilst he was sitting out there, where school feeding program was in a scramble, where in educational sector was just not working, and he was worried, but because his government was in power.
I expected when President Mahama renamed and dropped the ministries down, I expected him to add economic planning to the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. Economic planning today is the NDPC. The NDPC
National Development
Authority. It doesn't stand on its own. Mm-hmm. It's under the presidency. If you're not going to add economic planning to finance, then make NDPC a body on its own like the Electoral Commission, where you know they are actually handling stuff. Because NDPC, a lot of the things they do, if the president doesn't sanction it, he goes to it. I've been on the NDPC. I've been a commissioner, and I know how it works there. And so I would expected them to add economic planning to the Ministry of Finance. Then you have real economists in the Ministry of Finance helping how the country's money is used. Now, coming to Dr. Forson, I think he did an excellent job in terms of how he answered his questions. And he didn't rush to say, I'll do A, I'll do B, I'll do Y, I'll do X. You could see that he understood the ministry and understood what was cut out for him, if he was. Because we need the money. And some of these areas, sports, Ghanaians love sports.
Yeah.
It's one thing that brings Ghanaians together. And then if the CAF and the football bodies are saying, Ghana, your pitches aren't up to standard, so you have to go and play in another country, and we can use these monies to correct our pitches. What is wrong with that? The thing is that you need to be able to explain to Ghanaians why. And that is the challenge that we have with our politics.
But were you not satisfied with the answers Dr. Forson gave with regard to raising revenue if all of these taxes are going to be scrapped? He was asked a question in that regard. And he talked about why didn't the tax net, he talked about enforcement or tax compliance, and he talked about other areas with which governments can raise revenue. He even talked about budgets that we've seen, and that there's a lot of wastage in our budgets, and there are many things within the budget which can be described as waste, which should not be there. And so if we're able to make all of these concessions, we should have enough money to do the things that we need to do in this country without burdening the Ghanaian with all of these taxes.
The operative word is if we can. That is the operative word. And sometimes it takes a whole 4 years to clear wastage. And do we know how much money we're talking about? See, all this should be done before we then decide, okay, I remember, and I'm sure some people will charge me for it. I was against the COVID tax, and I did ask questions, even on this platform.
Yeah.
Why are we still paying it?
Yeah.
However, thinking about it again, and looking at the fact that we don't have tolls, we can look at all that. But if this revenue can help. Now, I'm sure they are saying that they are going to do away with these taxes, which they said in their manifesto. They've consulted the IMF, I'm sure. They have spoken to the IMF. They have spoken to the IMF with regards to doing away with these taxes. Maybe with regards to doing away with these taxes. Maybe the IMF has given them the go. IMF has given them the go ahead. However, I feel it could be looked at again if we can diversify it into particular areas and being very open. You see, the thing is, for people to trust you and have confidence in what you're doing, you've got to be able to prove to them that what you're doing is right, and you communicate it to them so that they understand. And that was the challenge with the previous government. You talk, you ask questions, no answer. You ask questions, no answer. My brother Kwesi will come and try his best to try and, convince people that it is happening, it is doing that, him not knowing exactly what the president is thinking of. Because they won't call him and say, oh boy Kwesi, when you go on GHOne, this is what we are saying, this is what we are doing, so explain it this way. They won't do it. So he would come and have to come and defend. And you found that a lot of MPP commentators were struggling in defending. Because the powers that be within their party were communicating. And I think with this government, and with the kind, and NDC should remember, this vote is the people's vote. Quite a number of people that voted for their manifesto. However, it is the people who wanted to get rid of the MPP and give it to them. So they did it massively. They should not take it for granted. And I like the way President Mahama has started. He's doing everything. If they rudder the ship, and he's ruddering the ship well, and they don't rudder it properly, then that is where we fall into a problem. And I will say to President Mahama, anybody who has presidential ambition to take over from him, he should be very mindful how he puts them in his government. Because 2 years down the line, instead of doing the job that they've given, they'll be thinking of how we are going to win to become presidential candidate. So for me, it is a caution.
All right.
Be very, very mindful. But I'm sure Ghanaians will tell you how he started. The fact that he's even been able to reduce the ministry to 23 shows that he's determined to have his 60 ministers.
Yeah, he's already reiterated that.
Yes,
upon all the CVs that he's been receiving, he will still disappoint a lot of people because he can only appoint 60 ministers.
It's only 60 ministers.
I think he's reiterated
If he's able to stick to what he says he will do, fantastic.
All right.
It is left with the operation. And let's hope the operation and the people who we choose can do well. The three that they've been vetted, you can see that they know their job. How they are influenced when they now come to do their job is another question.
All right, and still speaking about the three that have been appointed, let's talk a little bit about the energy minister designate, John Jinapo, and he's been talking about ECG and revenue collection of ECG. He believes that there should be some sort of private sector participation, just that he doesn't agree with how PDS, or how it went about handling the whole PDS deal, but he still believes that there should be some sort of private sector participation. And there's a 7-member committee that he mentioned had been set up to look into this and see how best we can proceed with regard to privatizing ECG. Among other things. And let me come back to you, Kwesi, Council, on these issues. I mean, your government attempted to privatize ECG through PDS, but we all know the story, approach. What are your thoughts on that? As was, outlined by the energy minister designate yesterday.
I think for me, I've always been on the side of efficiency, and not necessarily feeling that because you're a sovereign state necessarily you are entitled to manage everything, particularly when the outcome of such management is not proven right. So I've been at my personal level, I've always been for more public-private partnership in all or almost all sectors or areas. Of course, there are sensitive ones like the military where you cannot introduce in a private partnership. But if at the end of the day, a private participation will ensure efficiency, I'm sure Ghanaians will appreciate it more. Because if I get up, yesterday, for instance, when I went home, my lights were out.
They are not the only one. Me too.
Yes.
Were out.
So if there is a situation where there is even competition, and if you are talking of even privatization or let's say introducing even public partnership or private partnership, I do not even want just one organization or only one company. Probably we should be looking at about maybe dividing some of the operations of ECG to about 2 or 3 or 4.
Like
then
like they do in the UK.
Exactly. So that you get, because at the end of the day, currently, I spoke to a friend at ECG, and the point is that the revenues that they generate today cannot even take care of their operational cost. So clearly, we are just running an organization that is always generating.
They are selling the power, but in terms of collecting the revenue, it's a problem.
That they make alone cannot even take care of their operational cost. So that is a definitive problem. So for me, any effort or any attempt or any initiative that is just towards increasing efficiency, I'm for it. Because see, if you, for instance, move to any entity or any organization, the first question that you will be looking out for has to do with the quality of service and not necessarily who is providing the service. Of course, we most of us ordinarily will want our children to go into private basic schools rather than the public basic schools, mostly for the better part of it, in terms of even using affording, for instance, hospital facilities and other things, healthcare. Most of us are more comfortable, particularly if you look at those within the middle income status. They are more comfortable using private services than even public services. So at the end of the day, if we are able to introduce certain legs that brings in private participation, then that is where we are going to ensure efficiency and of course competition in all those sectors that are also producing A or B or C. So for me, I am for it. But I'm just worried why of course politically at some point they did not like the whole idea of privatization, and all of a sudden they
say they've never been against privatization. If you listen to his vetting, he talked about the fact that even when he was in government 8 years ago, he chaired some committees that were looking at how we could bring in private sector players. He just didn't agree with PDS and how PDS was done.
Fair deal. Most importantly, like I am saying, I am for it. If you ask me, I'm for it. Except that my proposal is that it should not only be one company that should be considered.
Right.
They should allow a lot of companies to come on board to increase competition, and so that we are able to ensure efficiency. When there is competition, each and every company will do work. I remember at the Ministry of Education, there was one organization, Lifter Logistics, previously Busy Internet, that were providing internet service to schools. There were a lot of issues with them when it comes to even them and the other companies that they were taking the internet from. At some point, the minister made a proposal that, look, we cannot allow only one company to be providing internet service to over 1,001 schools. And of course, plus all the district GES office. What we are going to do is that we are going to divide the country into, say, 4. And then bring in other companies also come and provide. So that there will be competition. Based on your work, based on that way, we are able to at least make some comparisons and see who is working and who is not working.
Yeah.
Then based on that, you'll be able to know that if you do not provide the service well, you will lose your job. So similarly, we can replicate same thing here. Not necessarily bring in, for instance, let's say, only one company to steer the whole affairs of there should be an organization or a company or private participation when it comes to revenue mobilization or revenue collection. One can be in charge of, for instance, operation. One can be in charge of A. One can be in charge of... of course, I don't necessarily understand the full operations of ECG.
Along the value chain.
Yes, along the value chain. But along the value chain, there should be different private organizations that are all coming on board to ensure that there is efficiency. And that proposal, if you ask me, is welcomed so far as it will ensure efficiency. But at the end of the day, it's just like any other proposal, just like President Mama saying that we are going to ensure that we cut down ministers and have a lean government. that does not necessarily guarantee efficiency, because there are a lot of variables that contribute to efficiency. So the fact that you are proposing bringing private participation does not necessarily also guarantees that it is going to be efficient. There have to be other variables that contribute to that, and all those checks has to be made so that we indeed ensure efficiency. I think there should be a time where we'll go for the next poll, where as a country we'll say that Dumso is no longer an issue. Probably we are looking at other issues or other sectors of the economy that has become topical. Maybe there should be a time where the conversation where we have to be making or talking about should be about road safety. How are we protecting lives on roads? That we should grow from the Dumso debate. We should grow from the free SHS. We should
move away from the bread and butter issues.
No, those issues will always be there. But I'm saying that, we
should fix the system such that there are no teething problems.
Dumso can be fixed. You see, matters bordering on bread and butter issues are matters that keeps reoccurring. You can call them recurring issues, because at the end of the day, these are issues that every time we may have to deal with. People have to eat, inflation and all other issues. But there are sectors of the economy that we should be able to nip it in the bud. When it comes to, for instance, basic necessities of life, like supply of water, it should be, these are basic needs that as a country we should be able to say that if it requires private sector participation, to be able to say that Ghana water is not a problem to all Ghanaians, let's do it, so that the next election, provision of water will not become an issue. We should be able to develop the country in such a way that, irrespective of the government in power, whether NPP or NDC, the next election, the next 4 years, doing so will not be an issue. Why? Because it has been solved.
Right.
So that we can introduce other issues that also need major attention and major concern.
Rather than the same old
stories.
Because you agree with me that the water has got to do with Galamsey.
Come again?
The water has got to do with Galamsey. The part that's where all this water pollution is going on.
But you see, the sad part, Mr. Dantua, the sad part is that, unfortunately, you see, no bad system produces good outcome. Like you rightly said, Mr. Mohammed.
Exactly. To the authorities.
I'm landing. The principle I'm saying is that even with this Galamsey debate or this conversation that Mr. Dantua has brought up, even as an NDC has come to power, you realize that it also become another recycled topical issue, because the people who believe that they brought the party into power, they feel that this is also their time to also explore.
Which should not be the case.
Which should not be the case.
Yeah. Richard,
Lantam,
let me bring you in.
See, Mr. Jantua just introduced a quick topic.
Let's stick.
Yes, we'll talk about energy. That's where most of my interest.
You are in power.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
We are in power.
Mr. Jantua just talk about
and Mr. Jinapos,
yes, Mr. Jantua just talk about Galamsey and the bad water. You see, I have this experience I always want to share with Ghanaians. Growing up in Bonache, I had severe guinea worm because of bad water. It was not Galamsey. Okay? Most of my family had, I don't know, guinea worm eradication program.
Yeah.
It was because of the situation where we are. So I know how bad water can give us. So basically, when we are looking at Galamsey, it is good. It's a canker. It's spoiling a lot of things. But there are some communities that even need potable water to drink now, that is giving guinea worm and other things. Go to my area, it's worse. But Jim Carter came to intervene. Remember Jim Carter project came to intervene. We then do the water project. So, in as much as we are also building up, as he said, all topics should not be issue to discuss, and that is why President Mahama has clearly made it that look, I am going to reset. No, it's true.
Yes.
We have a lot to do. We have a lot to do. To be honest with you, Castle, we have a lot to do
within the 4 year period.
Within the 4 year period. But you see, we believe
as to whether you'll be able to do all.
No, we believe that
we wish them the best.
No, we believe
we
that.
Support you.
We believe. I have had so many discussions, Mr. President, and we believe that when we are able to do A, B, C, D, and even put the country in a map, we will be okay.
Yeah.
So when my brother Council was talking, he wants to survive.
Get rich quick.
Yeah, he wants to survive.
But anyway, let's come back to the energy.
So that's why we are saying that. That's why we are saying that with a 24-hour economy policy. So if Minister talks about privatization of the ECG, it has been something that President John Dramani Mahama started. But the MPP came in with the PDS and the scandal was there. 8 years. 8 months, we didn't see where our bills went. We didn't see anything. So, I think if you read our manifesto, we clearly spelled it out that, look,
look. Why can't you look at it way? Why can't you look at it way? Oti region, where you and I come from, we can give to region where you and I come from. We can give it to Mr. Kwate. Then we can give maybe Western region to Mr. Jantua. We can give Central region to some other person to manage and take revenue. And take revenue. You understand? Sometimes if you look at the SNL,
So
you understand? Sometimes if you look at the SNL,
So you are sort of like agreeing with.
when we don't have sustainability of our energy sector, we'll become a total failure. And that's the major problem we face as a nation. The NDC started it. The then President Mahama, former president then, and then our president. The NPP also came in and agree with us. So the minister was just looking at as to how we will critically look at it. If you look at the data he brought yesterday, which I mean clearly yesterday you saw how the micro minority leader talked about the energy sector. He gave you clearly all the IPPs, the plants that are running. I think if you give that to Mr. Janto, he is an expert in it. He will give you a clear, and you'll be shocked of what's happening to our energy sector. And so we should be honest to the people of this country. I think that believe that. Let us do it diligently. Let us see 24-hour economy. If I'm going to build my road in Bonacho, Askafo, Mantem, or Nyakuma or something, you must make sure the energy runs. Light is run before I will be able to build the road with a 24-hour economy. So these are something the minister is bringing. And I think that if you look at our renewable sector, it's one of the major sectors we are looking at. That is why you see the minister are being renamed.
Yeah.
So we are looking at how we have a sustainable electricity. We bring in renewable sector, the solar system. I happen to work with Japan International Corporation, which you know, on renewable energy, and I know how renewable. Look, if you go,
Forget it.
it's close.
Yeah,
They're gone.
walk.
The energy is the spine of every country. So it has to be looked at and looked at very, very well. Now, let's be clear. Dr. Jinapor didn't talk about privatizing entire ECG.
Yeah.
The revenue side
collections. Yeah.
of ECG. And I would hope
Is that what Hoptel is doing?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so Hoptel.
I would hope that it will be more local than international. If they are going to privatize that bit, it will be more local than international. Why? So that the money that is received stays in our banks.
Yeah.
What he left out was Netco. Where does that come in? How does that come into the mix? What kind of finances are we talking about, especially in financing such probably a big
Together, and then they had.
I was coming there.
Net.
I was coming
and
there.
then they formed Netco.
Is Netco also linked with Bridam?
No.
No, it's different.
It's
So
different.
now we have the Volta River Authority.
The Volta
they
River
are
Authority.
power generators.
Yes, power
and then we
generators.
power, which is all.
Constant. Because we need to find the money for HFO. We need to find the money for all the others. We need to look at the eastern side, which is the Tema area, in terms of how we get gas there. WAPCO, how we work with WAPCO, and all these things. So it is a monumental task. But the good thing is that Dr. Jinapor has been there before. He knows the ins and outs of it. He wants to set a 7-member committee to look at this ECG thing. Let's hope that politics doesn't come in. Let's try as much as possible collectively, and even in this 7-member committee, they should bring some of it so that it is done collectively. I would like a situation
To the show, you're still watching GH Today here on GHOne Television. Thank you very much for staying tuned. My guests are still here in the studio. Kwesi Kwarteng Esquire is a member of the NPP's communications team. He used to speak for the Education Ministry. Richard Manuribe is here, member of the NDC's communications team. And Mr. Kwame Jantwa Esquire is a member of the Convention People's Party. And by and large, we've been discussing issues that have got to do with the appointments that President Mahama has made and they are vetting yesterday. Let's touch a little bit on the last appointee who was vetted, or minister designate who was vetted. That is Honorable Dominic Aine. And with this one, Mr. Jantwa, I will begin with you. You're a lawyer yourself. You know, one of the notable things that came up was the issue of regional tribunals. If you followed, you know. And the NDC has a promise to, you know, set up regional tribunals and all of that. I mean, the Constitution makes provision for regional tribunals. You know, there's the superior courts and then the lower courts. So the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, the High Courts, the regional tribunals, then, you know, the circuit courts. And
that needs a lot of revision and being held. And sometimes people who find themselves, you know, in
and regional tribunals.
Yes.
And then we come to, you know,
if it would help, let's see how best it will
the lower courts. Richard,
I'm not a lawyer. I felt, and this was what I thought President Mahama would do, that he would leave the Attorney General's department on his own and hive the Ministry of Justice away from it. We've said this time and time again, but it hasn't happened, because then you find that the Attorney General now becomes a politician on the other side of what you call it.
Working for the executive.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So they should have halved that bit and made Attorney General,
and then a different Minister for Justice.
Yes.
I think that the Justice Minister should be somebody very diligent. Should be somebody. Yes, he can be a politician.
All right, Richard, we'll need to come back to you, because there's an issue with your mic that the technicians need to come and deal with. So let me come to
structure. You have the Supreme Court, which is the apex court of the land. You come to the Court of Appeal, you come to the High Court, and then you come to the circuit courts and all the other lower courts that follows. I mean, the district courts and what have you. It is important to understand that. Even, for instance, I mean, Mr. That's your constitution, is it right?
Yes.
Maybe for borrow, Article 142.
Even this is how it's constituted.
Yes. Article 142 guarantees for the creation of the regional tribunals.
Yes.
Except to say that, I mean, in practice, they are not there. Of course, the reason is, as we all know, past. And I mean, there were also, people also had issues about, even aside the injustice or the misjustice that were meted out to people. People also had even opinion that in terms of its structure and form, you know, the tribunal, even if you look at the constitutional creation, it allows for,
so let me read it on your behalf.
Sure.
So it says, 1421, there shall be established in each region of Ghana such regional tribunals as the Chief Justice may determine. 2, a regional tribunal shall consist of the Chief Justice, one chairman, and such members who may or may not be lawyers as shall be designated by the Chief Justice to sit as panel members of a regional tribunal, and for such period as shall be specified in writing by the Chief Justice. 3, a regional tribunal shall be duly constituted by a panel consisting of the chairman and not less than 2 other panel members. 4, a person shall not be appointed to be a chairman of a regional tribunal unless he is qualified to be appointed a justice of the High Court. 5, the last one, a panel member of a regional tribunal shall be a person of high moral character and proven integrity.
That's 142.
That's 142.
So that's 142 of a regional tribunal. I think it's also clearly out of the Constitution. But it also says that a panel member of a regional tribunal shall be a person of high moral. Okay, I think we read that.
I mean, it's also in the Constitution.
The Chief Justice, or may Justice of the High Court or Court of Appeal, nominated by the Chief Justice, may sit on as a chairman of a regional tribunal.
Yes. Let me just go on to read 143. Yes. It says against the state and the public.
So you can go to a regional tribunal and deal with a case there. And it's also a superior court, right?
No, it
will be a superior court.
No, it's not a superior court. You know, the superior court starts from the higher court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court.
So that it means that higher courts cannot go to. You can't take cases of higher court to tribunal.
No.
But I'm saying, you know, it's a superior court because
look at the court structure. Look at the court structure.
the court structure. So it talks about the exercise of power of the judiciary.
Okay.
So the judiciary shall consist of A, the superior courts of judicature, comprising I, the Supreme Court, II, the Courts of Appeal, and III, the High Court and regional tribunals.
Okay, so the Constitution is saying that when it comes to the regional tribunals, they will fall under the
superior court. And then there are lower courts and tribunals as Parliament
so the tribunals are in
law.
two. Yes,
in two categories. The high tribunal and then the low tribunal.
But even in terms of the court structure,
We are not saying about
even in the lower court, you have to mention the chief justice. The only one or
there will
the
be
only one
other
who can
tribunals
direct.
which are lower courts as Parliament by law
I was
established.
reading
And then there is the
and
tribunal which
because
will
in
be
practice,
sort of at power with the high court.
it is the circuit courts, regional tribunal being part of the superior court, and then the other tribunals being part of the lower courts.
But they will claim the determination of Parliament, yeah.
No, for the lower ones, it talks about Parliament establishing it, you know, by maybe an act or something, because it says such lower courts or tribunals as Parliament may by law establish. Right.
So I think that.
The Constitution makes provision for it. What happens is that Parliament may by an act establish it, and then it just
or do the justice system to go into ADR. It's one of the best way to handle issues in this country. Our justice system is quite porous. And what's the major problem we face in this country is our justice system. So when I read the manifesto, I went to Article 142, and I realized the composition of the regional tribunal. I realized the President Mohammed with the justice system in this country. How do you call it? The lawyers call it some way that the trials go expeditiously.
The wheels of justice grind slowly.
No.
Expeditiously. You want to deal with cases expeditiously.
Yes. And then sometimes, actually, the magistrates courts, the panic alone in the justice system alone is one of the major problems we have. And people think that the moment they've taken you to court, sometimes they don't even have access to a lawyer. So, but I think based on experience, you will be able to know all the system, and with the regional tribunal, you can go for an appeal. And when you go for an appeal,
it depends on where the matter is coming from.
Yes.
If it's coming from,
but criminal cases, but even in a criminal case, you can still go for the tribunal.
Yeah, appeal exists for you both in civil and
yes. I mean, so I think that is the best way to go. And I listened to the Minister of Justice yesterday, and the
designate.
Minister of Justice, I mean,
designate.
He will go through.
We know he will go through, but for now, it's designate.
Because we are talking law now. Because we are talking
designate. Yes. And I think that he was so focused, and looking at his credential and his law experience, I think that the regional tribunal, there's something we should critically look at, and there will be justice system, the fairness. I know, and we all know that most attempts, people even have cases in court, and they abandon the court and go for juju because they believe that there's no justice in the system.
But I'm coming. Yes, I'm coming. You see, talk to your people, so that by virtue of you championing
it's our people.
We
are Ghanaians.
I'm coming.
By virtue of
I know how politics can be. By virtue of you championing the creation as to, getting the parliamentary approval and what have you, it is not construed as NDC courts. So when your people get mad and they go there, they are expecting to win.
So that
when they don't win,
the guys think
that education.
Yes,
no,
it's education.
I'm telling you that it is a constitutional creation.
I think that's an important point.
Yeah, because people can misconstrue it. By a court, when you go there, you must win at all costs.
Yeah, that's true.
Lantam, you see, that's why I've always advocate for something. That you see, this country, the Minister of Information now is going to be Minister of Information and Communication. Should be added.
There's no more information.
Information communication.
There's no information.
You have problem with your president, though.
You are creating communication, not information.
There is no information.
Like you are talking law. I don't have a knowledge about it. As a practitioner, as a media practitioner myself, whatever it is, communication has an ingredient of information.
Yeah, but we don't call it.
But the ministry is not like that.
So I was thinking, and I think that we should put national reorientation into such ministry, because misinformation is so dangerous. As you just said, you are right. My
they should give NCCE money.
Excuse me, let me use this to
educate the people.
My brain in Washington, make me them question.
I'm gonna be a court, no?
No, it doesn't work that way.
It cannot work like that.
Change the mindset. Change the mindset.
So we need a reorientation of the people. They will be confident in the justice system.
All right.
I mean, I don't know, because I was in opposition.
Would you agree?
I don't know, because I was in opposition.
Would you agree that some of the MPP people who are in the Attorney General's office should be kept there still, and not probably taken out? Because it depends on the person's act. People are sometimes being political. If you're doing it collectively.
Yes, I mean, Lantam, you can't tell me that in the next 20 years, if MPP comes to power, and I am
started. Be very careful.
Be very careful. Ages office, what can you do? Ages office, what can you manipulate? There is really nothing.
You deal with the facts.
Yeah, ages office,
you deal with the facts of the case.
Before the court, unless you go and stage some case, and then present it before the court. What can you do?
But Counsel, you also know that if I'm involved in a criminal case now, and you take me to court, I can run to AG.
Criminal case, I cannot take it to unless the prosecutor so.
Yes. Understand. No, the AG can have interest in it, isn't it?
Yeah, the AG can decide to pursue the matter.
Exactly. You call it non-prosecutorial.
That's when he decides not to.
The AG decided,
But he should give reasons why.
I feel AG feels I'm a criminal. Excuse me, allegedly I'm a criminal. My counsel is pursuing the case, but AG can come and have an interest.
When the facts are there,
I hope.
But usually, what has been the practice that I've observed, in this country, is that usually the AG's department will still pursue the case if it has merit. Usually, by and large, the AG, if it has merit, or the prosecutors,
this issue. I think we are talking about it based on political influence. You understand? Somebody might think that the NDC is in government, I can cause any crime, and because of this regional tribunal, or there's something, maybe I can be convicted, I can come for an appeal, and that's what I'm saying, that we need a reorientation of the legal system. It's so interesting, and the lawyers will come and frighten us with it. But the reality of the matter is that we must just orient the people's mentality. We must just let them know that this is the procedure that we have to go, and then we can.
The solution to the question he asks is with you that now separate AG's office from Minister for Justice. This will be simple. It doesn't matter who is in the AG's office, because Minister for Justice could be.
I mean, his own political point.
I think we should get there. We should get there.
I think that is what the CPP. It has been a CPP ideology.
No. All of us are for it to.
No, hold on.
Minister for Justice should be separated from AG.
Listen,
complete.
It has been a topic in my years in politics that people talk about. But they see, there are people with ideology. You see, the young man who asked the question.
But this one doesn't favor MPP and this. It favors every Ghanaian.
I understand. I'm not saying that.
The AG shouldn't be a politician. It should be Minister for Justice who should be a politician.
The Justice Minister being an Attorney General as well. I think that's why when you look at me, I believe to appoint a Justice Minister and Attorney General should be, yes, it can be a politician.
You are not for it.
It should be separate.
But you see, if you look at the industrialized countries, hardly do you see the Attorney General talk. Hardly. But here, because the Attorney General is also a politician, he's everywhere.
And the same Minister for Justice.
I hope anyway, we'll have to be wrapping up our discussions now.
And then the Attorney General coming, when he says nolli prosequi, you give reasons why nolli prosequi, so that we know. You just don't come and say nolli prosequi and leave it.
Because
we need to know.
Best articulate, even if you give reason and decide not to go, you can't do anything.
Well, whatever
anyway,
at least we will know.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. We've come to the end of our discussions. I'm grateful that you joined us in the studio. Kwesi Kwarteng Esquire of the NPP, Richard Manoribe of the NDC.
You are reminding me that I'm in opposition.
He knows he's in opposition. Mr. Kwame Mr. Kwame Jantwa of the CPP, who is also in opposition. Yeah, he's also in opposition.
I have known him to be in opposition, but he's a man of his own.